everybody. Thanks so much for coming today. This is an amazing turnout, and I'm so excited that we're filling up this new space. So thank you all for coming. And I know a lot of you saw our guest today and were like, oh, I'm going. Like, I was so excited to meet Lee Mayer. It was 2014 when you founded your company, which is Havenly. How many of you have gone to her website? Okay, pretty much everybody. If you don't, you need to go into your car in the parking lot and look it up. But then you'll be late to work because you'll like get engrossed in it, as I have. I already have like a project. So it's so nice to meet you. Lee started this website which offers interior design help and accessible, affordable, access to some great designers. And over the years, you have grown this so well. You know what your customers want, you know your designers. But I have a friend of yours, another CEO in town, who I told I was meeting you today, Wendy Burkhart. And she goes, the thing about Lee that is so awesome, aside the fact that she's great with her business, is that she can go into a meeting with possible investors. And it could be a room full of guys, and she just says her what she has to say, and they listen. And she really garners respect. So I think we have a lot to learn from Lee Mayer today. So I'm going to hand the microphone over to you, and then I'll ask you a couple of questions as well. First of all, Lee, thank you for coming. I'm curious why you started Havenly. Because you had a job. Why?
Why? There are days when I'm like, I have no idea. By the way, if you ever start a company, you will too. Otherwise, if someone tells you otherwise, they're lying. I think, why was a little bit of why not, but I'll be terribly honest with you. I was never the girl that was going to be an entrepreneur. I think there was always like a hint of surprise amongst my family and friends when they were like, you are the one starting the company, not, anyway. And I think it's because I lack a little imagination. I'm very much I think historically I've been sort of a straight and narrow path kind of girl. So I did the things, then did the things, and then went to the job that got the next job, and I was sort of that person. But I'll be honest, it was the move to Denver.
Yeah.
So my background, for those of you guys that don't know, I'm very outspoken about this. Annoyingly so. I get a lot of booze for this, by the way. I'm a recovering New Yorker, by which I mean I'm
okay.
Yeah, I see some of you guys up there. I moved here kicking and screaming. I was not happy about this move. This was I don't even know what the middle of the country is. What's Denver? What's in Colorado? I'm not outdoorsy. What am I going to do with my heels? Sort of picturing this place.
You flip-flops on.
Yeah, so this morning I was like, should I wear heels? And I'm like, it's Colorado. So I moved out here, and the thing about moving out here, in particular 5 years ago, I think things have changed a little bit, is for women like me and men like me, there actually aren't that many jobs. So I went to a bunch of really fancy schools out east. I worked in sort of finance and consulting in firms that don't exist here. They exist in New York, LA, San Francisco, maybe Boston, maybe Chicago. And there weren't a lot of great jobs for young people that were sort of on the rise, so to speak. Denver is sort of like a gray-haired town, it is. It's oil and gas and telecom tech, and none of that appealed to me. And I moved here with a company. It was a company owned by a private equity fund that I done work for. And they were nice enough to offer me a job. That company then went public, and I was sort of bored. And as I was leaving, there was nothing else. And I'd had this idea rattling around in my brain, and it kind of came up again because I moved to Denver, and you move from New York, who's from New York, I had tiny furniture. They tables that folded down on the side, things tucked under things. And then I moved to this 5-bedroom house in Denver, and I'm like, woo, dance party. And then I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I'm an adult. I just moved into this house that I bought in 2012, which is a really good move. And I didn't have any way to furnish it. And I was working, a lot. And I felt like I needed it to look great. And no one was helping me because I'm not fancy and I didn't have a big enough budget for the interior designers in town. And so that's kind of how it happened. And I was like, I can spend 6 months trying to find the perfect job. Or I can spend 6 months trying to figure out if this is something I want to do. Either way, I've spent 6 months pretty much, hopefully, doing something productive towards my career. And that's how I started, and it kind of took off.
Kinda.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it's been amazing, and there are moments where I hate it. If I was here yesterday, I had to pull an all-nighter for a variety of reasons. And yesterday morning, I was hating my job. So the secret is sometimes you start a company and you still hate your job. And that was sort of disappointing. But usually I really like it.
Yeah. You're in it, though. You're in it to win it.
I'm in it.
What is the proudest thing about what you've done since 2014? What are you most proud of with Havenly?
So there are two things that sort of get me up in the morning, and they both sound cheesy, and like you're gonna hear me say this, and you're gonna be like, no, there's something else. She doesn't really care, but it's actually true. Like I'm actually surprised at how cheesy I am about some of the stuff. So the first is the team. I have an incredible team. It is like amazing, and sometimes when I'm traveling, I'm sort of on the road this week. And I look at Slack and I look at these like conversations that are happening and the business is kind of going on without me and people care and I don't have to be there for them to care and they like each other and they seem to like me okay. And it's amazing. Like it's like this amazing feeling. Like there are however many jobs that didn't exist that we created and they're being filled by people that love their job for the most part. I'm sure they hate it too sometimes. And that's pretty cool. And the second is actually like the customer feedback that we get. Sometimes it's bad. Yesterday I got an email, this is why like I really hate my life yesterday. Yesterday I got an email from an old friend who'd used Havenly and had a bad experience. And like that's hard. And then we turned it around for her and I got an email this morning and she was like, thank you so much, you've got a great team, thank you for doing this. I was really cranky yesterday, I apologize for the email. And those moments where I see a tweet or someone follows me around the airport, which just happened, or I meet, people that have gone to the site and used the service, it's pretty cool. Like I'm building something I love consumer businesses because they're so tangible, like the benefit, and sometimes when you get it wrong, it's so visible, it's so in alignment, like you have to do the right thing for the customer for the business to survive. But seeing like the human face of it and like people like it, it's like, oh my gosh, they like me, they really, really like me. But it's really cool. It's like a really cool thing.
Explain how Havenly works if people here don't know.
Yeah, so it's a really simple concept. So the idea is we match you up with an interior designer and we only charge you a flat, like sort of a low flat fee to do it. And on the back end, what we do is we strip out the costs for the interior designer, we're trying to service you by sort of using technology to help them design your home. So you work with them to design your home all online, and it's done through photos, phone calls, an online messaging platform. And then at the end, you can actually buy everything across 400 stores directly through us. And so it's kind of like if you guys have used like a Stitch Fix or a Trunk Club, it's sort of that model, but for home design. So it's been really fun.
Oh my God, my basement. I'm getting rid of old dress-up clothes, getting them to you, and then doing this. Now, you said, were you artsy though? I mean, you said no. Have you become, like, do you walk in here and be like, ooh, cool light fixture?
Yeah, so the side effect of my job is like, I can identify where any, like, it's actually like a game we play sometimes, like I can identify where like a lot of furniture pieces came from.
Oh, you can.
And like the weird part is I used to love looking at home pictures before, and now I like kind of don't like
you
it.
pick them apart, you dissect them.
Yeah, it's like work. Like it's like, so when I go home now, I never used to be sort of like really a big celebrity gossip person, but I've switched from home magazines to like Us Weekly. I've been missing a lot over the years, apparently.
So I'm curious for a lot of, when you were starting out, what kind of obstacles did you face, and what do you still face as a small business owner or being a woman business owner?
Yeah. I think that the thing that sometimes people forget in this crazy like startup culture world is we look at the news and we look at TechCrunch or even these days like the New York Times or Wall Street Journal, and you think that going from zero to Uber is like this easy straight line path. And in fact, in Uber's case, it actually kind of was, but not for Travis Kalanick, who some of you guys may have opinions on. But the crazy part about Travis is this is like his fourth startup. Like he's had a failure, 2 kind of middling successes, and Uber. And this is like the greatest startup story in the world right now. And I think that like the sheer amount of determination, just like creating something from thin air. Like, none of this existed. 10 years ago, not only my company, but most of the companies that you're thinking about from a startup perspective did not exist. These things were created from thin air on the backs of incredible determination. And I think determination sounds really great, but it's fucking hard. I'm just putting it out there, like, literally, like I can tell you what I gave up, but it's not about that. It's like just the day in and day out of being like, I am climbing up a really steep hill, kind of alone. It's not like I'm like famous. I don't come from tons and tons of money. I don't have the backing of a large corporation. I am doing this to a certain extent. Myself and my co-founders are doing it alone. And that is like, if anyone knows like the myth of Sisyphus, it can feel like that. I'm just like carrying this boulder and it keeps rolling down. But you start to realize, and the crazy part is, like now that I've had the benefit of years, like 3. So experienced, guys. But I can look back on the last few years and be like, well, actually, like I moved, every time I moved the boulder up and it came back down, I moved it up just a little bit. And sort of inch by inch, step by step, and day by day, week by week, you end up moving forward. And I think what's really important for me personally, but I sort of tell my co-founders and co-workers this, is take stock of the last month or the last year, because it really gives you an appreciation of the fact that this isn't just an unending, never-ending, terrible thing. It's kind of like this place where I feel like me as a person, me as a leader, the team collectively, the team individually, the product, how we react to customers, all of that has progressed so much over the last 3 years. And I think that on days like yesterday when I have a tough day and I'm on zero sleep and I'm in LA and like my Uber doesn't show up and I have to get a Lyft and then like I'm late to the meeting and like whatever. On those days, if you come back home and you take stock of it, it sort of makes it easier. But don't let anyone tell you this isn't hard. It is hard. It's also really rewarding. But just, again, you're magicking something out of thin air. So that takes work.
Yeah. After your day yesterday, then you're allowed to wear flip-flops most likely, right?
Yeah, a huge glass of wine.
Yeah, there you go. You're in the tech sector, and there are a lot of men and a lot of men investors.
Yeah.
How, if